हेलो रौनक। हेलो रौनक। Hello, am I audible? Hello, hello, am I audible to all? Hello, am I audible to you, please?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Welcome to all participants to this important class on the current COVID-19 crisis and its legal and constitutional perspective. Friends, I hope and I believe that all of you are safe and healthy, and all of you are observing the safety norms of wearing mask, maintaining social distancing, sanitizing your hands, and all other necessary precautions. Hello. Now, please, for some time, mute your mics. You can start your webcam so that I can see you and we can have some e-contact. I will give my views on this important theme for about 40 minutes, and thereafter for next 10-15 minutes we will have question answer. So whatever question comes to your mind, either you can share with me in chat box, or you can reserve when we start discussion, right? From 25th, 24th, 25th midnight, we have seen a new phase of life which even we did not see in our experience of last 60 years. that whole country was put under lockdown. We were asked by the Honorable Prime Minister in his address to the nation that please remain in your house, don't cross the Lakshman Rekha for 21 days as the corona crisis has started. If I remember, when the first lockdown was imposed, there were total reported 536 reported cases of corona infection, and there were 10 deaths. And we started with the lockdown with the impression that this lockdown will put an end to the spread of the deadly COVID virus, and India will be among the victors in our fight against corona. As we know, this corona crisis is a global crisis. It is not confined to any particular country or any particular locality. It's a global crisis, and the whole world is in the grip of this unprecedented pandemic. The World Health Organization has lately declared it as a pandemic. Although the very role of World Health Organization from beginning, when this virus started spreading in China, the country of its origin, and it is still a disputed issue whether this was a laboratory prepared virus, a biowarfare, or a naturally occurring virus which has taken a heavy toll of almost 3.5 crore people and more than 10 lakh lives of the people. Anyway, on the recommendations of the WHO, which I think most of us still feel has come out as a controversial global regulator of health, because their role, their so-called connivance with the country like China, and their discriminatory and controversial recommendations from time to time have put a big question mark on the WHO and its integrity. Anyway, I'm not going to address that issue. Our concern is that today, when we have entered into the unlockdown phase 5, the first unlockdown phase 1 was started on 8th of June. So the people of India, I will be focusing my presentation to India only. The people of India were put under I can say, the house arrest, the lockdown for more than 70 days in different phases, and thereafter the unlockdown process started gradually, and still the process of unlockdown is going on, and still we are asked to remain in homes, maintain quarantine if there is any movement from one place to another place, one state to another state. Home stay is always preferred. Still, the traveling is restricted. Air travel is prohibited except in certain conditions. The theaters, malls, they are now selectively being opened. The whole tourism industry, hospitality industry is still facing a grave crisis of survival. And there are a number of other restrictions which are still going on. And it is for last 6 months, more than 6 months, we are facing all these issues. Now, our today's presentation is whether the whole exercise of imposing lockdown of asking the people to stay in homes, to close the economic activities, to close the shops, malls, movement of people from one place to another place, night lockdown, night curfew, containment zones, uh, quarantine conditions. All these steps were taken by executive orders under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. Now today we are going to discuss whether all these steps which have been taken and which are still in process, which are mainly by the executive orders. There is no change in the constitutional provisions. Constitution stands as it is. There was no specific law to deal with this pandemic. It was under the Disaster Management Act. The whole exercise is being controlled. So first let me tell you what is the Disaster Management Act and how it was acted. What is the constitutionality of this Disaster Management Act of 2005? We have a federal characteristics where there is a distribution of legislative power among union and the various states. And this distribution of legislative power is regulated by Article 245 to Article 251 of the Constitution, wherein in Article 248, the Parliament can enact laws on the concurrent list. There are 3 lists in 7th schedule, as you might be knowing. In our Constitution, we have a 7th schedule which deals with the distribution of legislative power, because we are a federal country. We are not a unitary country like Britain. We are a federal country like America, where the federal government or the union government has, or union parliament has certain powers to legislate. States have certain exclusive powers to legislate, and there is a concurrent list wherein both state and center can legislate on certain top themes, certain entries. And these entries are distributed, are very well provided in 7th schedule, union list, state list, and concurrent list. So in concurrent list, there is no specific entry like disaster management or pandemics or infectious disease like corona or other diseases in union list. So the exclusive power of parliament to legislate is not there under the union list, which deals with the exclusive power. Then we come to state power. In state power, we find that entry six of the state list, 7th schedule, makes a provision of public health. It is a issue, primarily the dealing with pandemics like coronavirus or earlier like H1N1 or all other pandemics in past is the issue of public health. So state list entry 6 deals with the public health, where states, so health, broadly speaking, health is a subject matter of state legislation. States can make law on health. But there is another list, that is concurrent list, where states as well as center, union can also legislate, and when there is a conflict of laws, the laws enacted by parliament shall prevail. Article 248 and 249, they empower the parliament to legislate on subjects of the state list if there is a national emergency or if the Council of States, the Rajya Sabha, pass a resolution and request the parliament to make laws on these topics of national importance. But the Disaster Management Act was enacted in 2005 because there are two entries in the concurrent list. As I have already said, there is no entry in union list. There is an entry in the state list which empower states to pass laws, and states are acting under the law which is known as the uh, Epidemic Diseases Act, old Act of 1897. But the current law under which the whole pandemic of COVID-19 is being conducted or regulated, or all the exercise of executive powers by the union government, the imposition of lockdown and unlockdown and directions from time to time are issued under the Disaster Management Act. And as I said, this act was enacted based on the entry 23, Social Security, and specifically entry 29, Prevention of Infectious Diseases which can spread among the states, because it is a infection which is fast spreading, and when people start moving from one place to another place, it can spread. Therefore, the whole country can be affected. So the central government issued the directions for countrywide lockdown so that it cannot spread. The infectious disease cannot spread, or the spread can be checked from one state to another state. Now, when we talk of the National Disaster Management Act, there is a Disaster Management Act, there is a provision for NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority. And the Prime Minister of India, ex officio, is the chairman of that NDMA. This act is an enabling act. It enables, it empowers the parliament, the central government, the union government, the National Disaster Management Authority, chaired by the Prime Minister, to take necessary steps to deal with the disasters. And disasters include the man-made disasters like fire, like floods, and also like these pandemics. Therefore, when we talk of law, it is clear that the central government has been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic under the power which are vested with the central government and the National Disaster Management Authority headed by the Prime Minister under the Disaster Management Act. That is the only act wherein this whole exercise of lockdown and unlockdown is being regulated, is being conducted. Now, Section 35, Section 62, and Section 72. These sections, they give overriding powers. Whatever center directs, the states have to follow. The states are bound to follow the directions issued by the center under these sections. And Section 6, subsection 3, it empowers the Prime Minister as a chairperson of the NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, that all powers vest lie in the Prime Minister. And that is why we have seen that it was the Prime Minister who addressed the nation and claimed the lockdown, first lockdown. Thereafter, the process was gradually increased. The lockdown was extended, and from 8th June onward, instead of lockdown, the process of unlockdown started. Now, the point is that is the lockdown proper way, or could we achieve the object and purpose of the lockdown? There may be a disputed claims. We will not go in those aspects because we are confined to the legality of the action, to the constitutionality of the action. I have already said that the pandemic is being handled, is being controlled through lockdown and unlockdown under the National Disaster Management Act. And simultaneously, the government of the states have a power to act under pandemics under the Epidemic Diseases Act. But here we have seen the role of states have been minimized. Mainly, it is the central government which has taken major decisions. Although we have seen the Prime Minister conducted series of or rounds of meetings with the chief ministers in various installments and issued necessary directions how to deal with the lockdown, how to conduct the tests. But what we have seen and what is worrisome, what is disturbing, that there is a great amount of fear, there is a great amount of confusion. People are facing tremendous socio-economic pressure. The whole exercise of lockdown and the partial unlockdown has virtually destroyed our socio-economic fabric. The economy has come down, the unemployment has increased, and we have seen the figures which have been released by the various government authorities, that there is a 21% downfall in the GDP. Unemployment is rising all-time high. But what is most worrisome is that in spite of such a long lockdown and also the gradual unlockdown, still we find that the death and the infection has not been controlled. As of latest figure, we can see that India has also crossed the corona-related deaths more than 1 lakh. And there are almost 64 lakh people who have been infected. And I think by the time we are discussing this subject, maybe the figure has reached to 65 lakh. Although the good sign is that almost 54 to 55 lakh people have also been cured. They have become corona negative free and they have been discharged. Most of the people have been asked to stay in home so that they can follow the quarantine and they can get better. Government has so far done almost 7 crore tests, the PCR test and antigen test, the quick test and there are new vaccines which are in the process all over the world. I won't say that this is a problem confined to India. No. If we compare Indian population, size of India's population, close to 130 crore people. And if we compare the population of US, we are still better in controlling this pandemic. Definitely, we have to accept this fact. But the point is, could we have done it better, or did we observe all the constitutional norms? I will deal with the 3 aspects. One is the Article 14. Article 14 deals with the rule of law, right to equality. All persons are equal before law and everybody has an equal protection of law. That is, I would always say in my lecture, that is the main crux of our constitutional philosophy. Article 14, 19 and 21, right to life and personal liberty, are the 3 core principles of our constitutional philosophy. So first is Article 14, that is equality. If you find the whole process of lockdown and unlockdown, we find that there has been a great amount of discrimination. Discrimination, the parameters, the standards for individual person, for common people, and parameters for the VIP people or the so-called political people. They would gather, they would conduct marches. Still today we have seen that people are marching and protesting on the streets without wearing masks, and what to talk of social distancing. The VIPs are freely participating in election meetings. Election process has started in Bihar and Madhya Pradesh, and there are free meetings. But when it comes to the case of common man, you can be caught on the street if you are not having mask, and you can be fined. Although the Indian Penal Code, section 269, 270 and 271, it empowers, it makes a provision that if a person is negligently causing the spread of infectious disease, he can be punished for a period of 6 months. So invoking that power, the non-wearing of mask has been hello. So for how much time you have fixed this lecture, Mr. Hello? Mr. Vinod?
Yes, sir.
For how much time you have fixed this lecture?
40 minutes.
How much?
40.
You should have informed me. Ronak told me that it is for 1 hour. Accordingly, I have done the homework. That's why should I work so much unnecessarily? You should have informed me that this is the timeline. Now you are mentioning that 9 minutes. Okay, let us close it. So friends, okay, this is not the way. Mr. Ronak is not there. And is this the way of... So, okay, friends, there are many issues I would have discussed regarding human rights violation. The liberty has been jeopardized because we did not have the adequate healthcare infrastructure. So the lockdown process was imposed early when there were hardly cases in 3 digits, and now the cases are in 7 digits. So all these things, the country has paid, the people have paid the price for poor public infrastructure health. And further, the liberty, the economic right, if we talk of Article 19, freedom of movement, freedom of trade, all this has been curtailed without simply by administrative order. The whole process of lockdown has been controlled, as I said, with administrative order. So there are many other issues. The role of judiciary is again a worrisome factor. In fact, during this time of crisis, we hope the judiciary should have played a vital role in giving the directions. We have seen a very poor labor migration issue. The lacks of labor could not get a safe exit during lockdown, and they were not fairly treated by the governments, and they had to rush up on the roads. Many of them died. Later on, some trains and other mode of transportation were started to send them safely to their hometown because they did not have any employment. All activities, industrial activities, economic activities were closed down. We hope the Supreme Court, which has given almost 300 judgments in past, stating that right to life includes right to dignity, life with dignity, could not properly monitor through continuous mandamus the proper monitoring of the lockdown or unlockdown. I think here the Supreme Court or the judiciary as a whole could not perform the better role which it could have performed. So there are many issues, human rights issues, as I said. The whole economy has been shattered, and it will take time to recover our economic conditions. because people have been rendered jobless, and there are no, some plans, government gave some economic packages, but those packages have not been able to sustain the confidence. Our right to movement, people could not conduct social life, the marriages, other religious function, our right to worship. People have right to worship, Article 25, freedom of religion. But we find that temples and places of worship are still closed. Could we not evolve a mechanism wherein the people could have visited temples with safeguards and certain norms? Gradually, on lockdown process, some steps have been taken. But another important and last issue, then I will close it, is that our federalism, because states and union must work together. We have a cooperative federalism. Here we have seen that center has dominated the state altogether. States have been left with hardly any freedom. And whenever they have exercised their powers, we have seen a great amount of divergence. If you go to another state, you do not know when you will be quarantined and for how long you will be quarantined. Who will bear the cost of quarantine? Where you will go and quarantine yourself if you go to other state or other place. So there is a chaos. There is no clarity of policy. Every state, every authority, they are behaving, they are acting in the manner they think they are right. So that is a bigger casualty. It means that in this grave crisis, we lack a uniformity in our approach, proper regulatory framework, proper constitutional safeguards which are necessary for protection of human rights, for protection of individual human liberty, we all could not offer. Though we have done, as I said, some good work, and we must appreciate for that to the government, but we could have done it better way, in a more coordinated way, in a more efficient way, without jeopardizing the lives and safety of the human beings. Thank you for attending. Now, if you want, I can add 2-3 questions. Otherwise, we can close it. If you have any query, you can.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, what is jeopardy?
Jeopardy?
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy means to put in danger. Our life and our freedom has been put under danger. Jeopardy. Trouble. Yes. Anybody? Okay. I think wish you all the best. Thank you.